Hello, welcome to Trish's Cards and Crafts, and today this is my project. I'm going to make another one like this, not exactly the same because I'm using different coloured paper. I used Starry Sky for this one, and this one's a happy birthday one, but this one's going to be a Christmas one. I'm using the same paper, but I'm using Orchid Oasis for this one. I have changed the dimensions slightly for this, but there shouldn't be a problem with that. So these are all the bits and pieces that we'll need. I've already sorted most of them out. I've just got to do two more bits, which is the bits that's going to be fitting on the bottom, because I'll show you anyway. And I'm making this part of it shorter this time, so I'm going to have the triangles coming out rather than going in. So it didn't work with the dimensions. Well, I saw this made by somebody else making a much bigger version than this, and I thought I would try and see if I could make a smaller version. So I've managed to work out the dimensions except for this top part, and it's just a hexagonal box, but it was the way it was closing I made this one slightly different to the one that I saw. And the person that I saw making it was Heather Forgan of Stamp with Nellie, and thank you very much for the inspiration. And I just thought I'd try and make my own version. So this is what I made earlier on, and now I'm going to try and make it again, or make another version of it. Okay, I'll show you all the pieces and things we need now. So I'm starting off with a piece of card that I've cut down to 9.5 across by 5.5. Yeah, that's right, 5.5. And then I've got 6 strips of DSP, which I've cut from a sheet from the Winter Meadows? Yeah, Winter Meadow 12 by 12 designer series paper. And the beautiful papers, but I've chosen this design, which has got like a grey watercolour wash on the back. You've got this piece which has got blue on the back. You've got this one which has got a greeny colour, the Lost Lagoon. You've got a grey with this sort of in two halves, and this has got deer on. And then you've got another one, a blue, like a misty moonlight background with this. I'll show you that in a minute. And then you've got this green trees with a green sort of watercolour wash on the back. The one I was going to show you is like this. It's sort of got different, they're both, there's this sort of, that's on this side, and then it's the same but opposite corner on the other side. So this is what the whole sheet would have looked like. I've just cut this one down to do something else with this one, and that's got that blue, like a salt wash on the back. Okay, so these are what I'm using today. I've got a scrap of blue of the Orchid Oasis and a scrap of white for my sentiment, and there's just one more piece I need. I'm hoping this will be big enough. If not, I've got another piece, and I need a piece that is, or are 2 3/4, which is, yay, yes. And I need 2 that are 3 by 2 3/4. So I don't need something else. I can use this piece. So 3 by 2 3/4. There we go. And that they're going to be for the base. The one for the inside and one for the out. Okay, so first of all, I'll put these out of the way for now. I'm going to do the scoring. So I'm going to score at every 1.5 inches. So 1.5, score, 3, 4.5. Can't fit it on my desk as it is. 4.5. Whoops. 6, 7.5. And 9. So I should have a half an inch at the side, and then I can close that up so I can get it on my desk properly. Oops. And it's going to be scored at half an inch on one end and on the other it's another inch, an inch on this end. So, or then it's, if you did it the other way, it would be half an inch and then an inch that way. It doesn't make much difference. So it's up to you which way you want to do it. Or if it was that way round, it'd be half an inch to there and then at 4.5 inches. Okay, so those are the measurements for this. And now, before I do anything else, I'm also going to go use my ruler for this, and I'm starting from the first score line, so after that half an inch, and I am going to mark at 3/4. I'm just going to mark it with my stylus. So I'm going to mark it at 3/4 of an inch, 2 1/4, 3 3/4, 5 1/4, and oops, 5 1/4, 6 3/4, and 8 1/4. There. So I've just sort of made a little notch so that it's half of each of the squares that, or the pieces at the top. So this will be, we're going to go from each of the corners to that mark, so make a triangle. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one. So I'm going from the little mark that I made to there, and I'm hoping this is going to work out all right. If it doesn't, we'll have to start again. There. I'm going to go from this mark to there. I'll just do all of these to start with, and then I'll do the other one. There's my mark there. You can use a pencil if you want to. It doesn't really, I can see, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So it's just to make this triangle there to there, and the last one from here to there, and then I'm going back the other way from this outside edge to the mark, then from bottom of there. So I'm only going to the first score line, and I'm just making little triangles. And here, and here, and there. So they're all done. We can now score all of these. I'm going to use my bone folder to make sure I get some nice folds. So there. This one. So it's a little bit glue just to get these done on the top. Just want to make sure they're nicely creased right to the corner there, and then this one and this one. Thought I could have done all the normal ones first, but I'm just making sure that these are nice and crisp. Don't want to go any further than the score line. Oops. This one there. Oops, nope. It's not quite there. There. Don't know how that one might be. This one. And this one. So there. And then we're going to fold all of those down. That piece nicely. Then along here. This one. This one. This one. Here. And here. The one that I saw Heather make, she made it using two, it was a lot bigger than this, she made it using 2 pieces of A4 card, and these dimensions were a lot bigger as well, so this is a much smaller version than the one she made. Okay, so before we go any further, I'm going to stick on the strips that I've cut. So these strips are cut, this is 4 inches here, the panels are 4 inches, so I've cut it at 3 7/8, and they're 1 3/4, 1.5 inches wide, so I've cut it to 1 3/8, so 1 3/8 by 3 7/8. Okay, and I've cut them so that they are in order, so the patterns follow on from each other. There we go, which is why I've kept them together. Okay, and that one there. Okay, so I'm just going to stick these on now, and I'll use some, I think I'll use some Tombow for this. Gives you a little bit of wiggle room, so just need to make sure you get enough on so that it'll stick down, but you don't want it, and you want to try and get as close to the edges as possible without it oozing out. So there's my first piece, and I'll just keep going with this. So not squeezing the bottle too much. There we go. There we go. So we just keep sticking these down, making sure I'm leaving a small gap in between each one and not going over the creases at all, the score lines. Makes it easier having the score lines there, because then you can see where you need to keep inside. And also trying to keep them evenly spaced at the bottom as well, so they're all in a straight line, hopefully. So just putting my glue on these last but one piece. There we go. There we are. And the last piece here. can go on there like that. There we are. Now we're going to need to do some cutting. So we're going to cut wedges out at the bottom, just so that there's not so much bulk left at the bottom when you try and put it together. So we're cutting quite a nice wedge out off the bottom, and then if you fold it over, you can just cut away there, and you've got two done at the same time, so it saves a bit of time. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the last one, we're going to cut a small wedge from this side, this 1/2 inch bit, and then we're going to cut the whole thing away there. So we've got our wedges at the bottom. Now at the top, I'm just going to cut that straight along that crease line, the score line there, and I'm just going to cut a small wedge like I did at the bottom from here just to that score line. But for this one, I'm going to fold this like that, and I'm going to cut this bit off here, because when I come to stick them together like this, I don't want the I don't want this over this crease here. Can you see? So this piece will now fit over there, so it will come nicely together. Okay, so that is how we're going to, what we're going to do next. No, we're not. We're going to be making holes in them now. Now, when I made this one, the triangles go in. With this one, I'm going to try and get the triangles to come out. So these are going to go together like this. So we're pushing these in. Hopefully this will work nicely. I think just see now where I want my holes to go. There we go. Right, so yes, I haven't made them long enough. I was afraid of that. So if I want them to be long enough, I'm going to have to cut a panel off, and it'll be a five-sided a pentagon instead of a hexagon. Yeah, if I'd wanted this to go together like that, which is I would have rather have it to be 6 sides than a 5-sided, but to get it to be 5-sided, it's going to have to go, to go together, it'll have to be 5 sides, not 6, because the 6th side is just going to make it too go. I've just made, these should be 1.5 inches tall if it's going to work like that. I don't think it'll work the other way around either. Look, I'll just try it, but I don't think that's going to make a difference. I think it's still going to be too big for the, let's see what happens if I take these out instead. Still don't think it's going to fit. It'll be a gap somewhere. Oh, sorry about this. Taking up more time than it should have done. There we go. Put that down. You go in. Yeah. So even with that, there's going to be a gap. So I'm going to have to cut one of these panels off. So, but I don't want the whole panel off. I just want to cut that one down to 1/2 inch. So this one will be different. This is a pentagon instead of a hexagon. So I want to make that, I want 1/2 inch from that crease line. So there. Oh, that's a shame. There we go. Done. So this one will work, but it's going to be, instead of a hexagon, it's going to be a pentagon. Right, so this time I need to cut, I need to fold this. I need to fold that there and that like, that's like that. And I need to cut that along there. I need to cut that. Doesn't matter that the paper's on there because you don't see it because it'll be stuck to the thing. And this one is going to be cutting along there. That's okay. This is the bit that I need to work on, and I need to cut this little bit off here. Then I know that it will fit when I fold that over there. It won't make any difference to the fold there. Okay, right, now we can work out where we want to put the holes. So let me just get rid of the little bits and pieces. Oops. And get my hole punch. I've got a crocodile. There isn't a hole punch for Stampin' Up at the moment. Hopefully they might bring one back. Now this is going to go like this. Right, so I want, on these little triangles here, I'm going to punch a hole, and there, and this one. I can't see it there. These are not going to be very easy to punch, but there we go. It's fiddly. It is what it is. It can go that way. Why can't I see? So I want it to be about there, here, and here, and then put those two together and make sure that that's straight, and put one here. There we go. There we are. That'll be all right. I'll stick these together next. Right. Here we go. So let me just find my bone holder. Just make sure that it's going to go down. No, I'm not going to take it off. Right. So I'm going to put some glue, not where the hole is. I'm going to try and avoid the hole. But I need it to go to the edge if possible. There, and along here. All over here. Try to get towards the edge, but not on the edge, or I will have problems. There we go. Right. So now we're going to bring this over. It's not going to be flat because I've got 5 sides and not 6. And we're going to put these together. And then I'll try and do it from this side as well. Hopefully make sure I won't be a moment. Here we go. There we go. Right. So this is, oh, now I'm going to have to change. Right. So that is my, they're going in this time. This is the with how the box goes together. So we're going to have a bit of a star shape at the top. I'm not going to bother to put the ribbon on yet. Now I'm going to have to work out this. So this time I need, the widest part is 2.5, and that is 2.25. So I want 2.5 by 2.25. Two pieces. 2.5 by 2.25, and I think these were 2.5. No, they're not. They were 2 3/4. So 2.5. Oops. By 2. Oops, and 1/4. There we go. Right. This will be interesting. Okay, I'll come back to that. Now, this, by holding that together like that, that's going to make sure. So I need, yes. So I really want that to be equal. So this one is, I'm just going to mark it with my stylus. So I'm going to put a mark here, a mark there, a mark here, and a mark there, and then a mark there. Now that one should be in the centre, and that is 2.5, so that should be 1 1/4, which it is. And then this one is, so if that is, the sides are 1.5, yeah, that's the 1.5 just about. So if that is 2.5, that should be at 1/2 inch and 2 inches. So that should be 2 inches. So you've got 1.5 in the middle. This is going to be 1.5 from there. So that's there, which is 1.5. Oh, right, so that should be 1.5 over here as well. And then, so we know then that this one is going to be at 1 3/4. It's half of 2.5. So that's 1 that's 1 1/4. That's right, 1 1/4. This one is 1.5 from the bottom edge. This one's 1.5 from the bottom edge. And then these two are 1/2 inch. So that one's at 1/2 inch and that is at 2 inches. So then we've got to cut these out. So going from this point to there, that to that one, that point to that one, and that point to that one. So I've got my pentagon, which will fit on the bottom of my box. There we go. It's more or less right. That'll do. We can always trim it a little bit. We're going to do the same thing with this one. So from each of the points I'm cutting off, and there to there, and there to there. I think that was there actually. That will do. And then with this one, this is going to be the one on the inside, I'm going to cut it down slightly, just to cut off a little bit of each of the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This will make sure then that because of the thickness of the card, it'll fit again nicely. There we go. So that's the inside one. Let's get rid of all these pieces, and here we go. Oops. And we'll just stick this together now. So I'm going to put some glue on this tab here and stick this edge. Should be the same size, but it doesn't look exactly the same, but don't worry, because we will trim it down afterwards. So now I'm going to put glue on these tabs. Here we go. And I'm going to bring this down, and I'm just going to try bring those together like that. Oops, not quite there yet. Oops. Right. This isn't quite what I had in mind. Now I'm going to open this out, open it back up. It's not quite there yet. I'm going to use my bone folder just to press them down, and then we can trim the sides. I don't think I got the measurement quite right. There you go. So this is how to, when you do something wrong, this is how you rectify it. Oh, right. So the other one worked because this one was 2 inches here, and if I'd made it 1.5, it would have been probably just about right. But there we go. This one I only left to be 1 inch, so I should have made it longer, but it doesn't matter, it's done now. And now I'm just going to put some glue on all of this one, so the whole thing, and that is going to go inside here. So we're going to push this down to the bottom and push it so that the glue side is down, hopefully. There we go. Right, and then I'm just going to use my bone folder to push it down and burnish around the bottom. So this, there we go. It's fine, it works, and it's quite solid now. Now we've got to just put the cord on, and because I've used Orchid Oasis for this, I'm going to use some Orchid Oasis metallic ribbon, metallic woven ribbon to match. And to do this, I found last time I just needed a little bit of sellotape. Just makes it a bit easier to thread it through. And I'm going to use some of this just to wrap around the end, just to make it a bit like a shoelace, so that you've got something a little bit more sturdy to help you thread it through the holes. And I'm just going to cut that little bit off because I don't need it. There we go. So I've got something a bit more sturdy to go through the holes. So I'm going to start going that way. This is fun. So it doesn't matter. They can go through there. Oh, where's the back? That's the back. So this is the front. So I want to go through here. Yes, that's right. Through there. Through each of these holes. Through there. Through there. Through here. Right. Nearly there. 4, 5, 6. Now, to make sure this goes in tidy, I'm going to, now let's see what happens when I pull this together now. Let's try. Don't think I need it to be that long. Tied it a little bit less than that. Tie this together. There we go. So it doesn't, still not as tidy as I was hoping. But you can't see inside, so that's okay. I'm going to put some sweets inside. I've got some Lindor chocolates from another project that I did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm getting 6. Let's take one of those out. Put one of these in. There we go. You've got a few of those in there now. So now we can tie this together. And I'm going to tie a bow. Oops. I'll try. There we go. Whoops. Don't need it to be that big. There we go. So we've got our bow and some. There we go. Sort of coming out. There we go. I'll just trim this off here and there. So I've done my ribbon. Just do a little embellishment, and I'm going to use this one here. I've got Thinking of You at Christmas. I'm going to use my Orchid Oasis. And I put my finger in it. This way round. Hopefully this will fit now. There. There. That's nice. And then I'm going to use the 3/4 inch, sorry, the 1 3/4 inch punch, circle punch, to punch this out. So I'm trying to get that as centered as possible. And then I'm going to use the 2-inch punch to punch a piece for the back, and that's going to come out there. And then I'm just going to use, not that, should be on there, use my, I don't know where it's gone, my Stamp and Seal. I'll use the plus, it doesn't matter for this. I'm just going to put some glue on here. Whoops, that shouldn't have happened. And I'm going to put this on here like that, and then use some dimensionals. I'm not going to, right, I want it there, so I want one there and one on each side there. 1, 2, 3. and just finish off there. There we go. And I just want to use, I'm going to use these solid faceted gems. It's not quite the right, it's all right for the Starry Sky, but not this one, but it'll be fine. And I'm going to use these, some of these, just to go on here. One down here, one here, whoops, one there, and one just here. So that's now decorated. So there we go. Thank you very much for joining me today. And here's the two different versions. So I've got my hexagon and my pentagon box. So two different ways of doing them up at the top. But yeah, so they don't quite hold, this one doesn't quite hold as much as this one does, but it doesn't matter. That's fine. So thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it, and working out how to change something from one thing to another. So everything is just a challenge. It's not a mistake, it's just a challenge. So thank you very much for joining me. I will try and put the right dimension. So if you wanted to make a hexagon box, you make it. So instead of being 9.5 by 5.5, you should make it 9.5 by 6 inches. So you make this this piece 1.5 inches long instead of or you could just make it 2 inches long, so make it 6.5 and have a different sort of opening at the top. So it's completely up to you. Personally, I think I would like to try and keep it like that. You've got a nice star shape there anyway. So there we go. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will be back with you again soon. Bye bye.